Hello, everybody. Good to see you. Happy Saturday. Happy Saturday. Hope you guys are doing good. I'm going to go ahead and give you all a minute to trickle in. We typically don't do lives on Saturdays, but this is a first. Um, so we'll see how it goes. We'll see how this goes. Hello, Chantel. Thank you so much for joining us today. As you come into the room, go ahead and hit those scale emojis. Let me know that you're here with us. Hello, hello, and welcome to our first Saturday Astro Hour. I never do Astro Hours on Saturdays. I don't know if you can tell, but I am a little nervous. Again, because I don't typically stream on Saturdays, so I don't know what the turnout is going to be. But here's the thing, we're here for the information, right? We're here for the wisdom. So whether we have one person or 100, I'm gonna I'm gonna be as present as possible. If you are here, I want to say thank you. Thank you so very much for dropping in on me on a Saturday. You could be doing anything right now. Laundry, groceries, errands, yelling at your kids, on a date. You could be doing anything with your Saturday. And for a lot of those of us who are still in traditional 9 to 5 jobs, Saturday may be your only day off, right? So thank you. Thank you for spending your time on your day off with me. So that you can listen to me talk about the sun and the moon and the stars and everything else. Hold on one second. I have a client texting me. Apologies. I usually try not to send text messages and stuff on live because y'all don't need to tune in to watch me text away. But I did have to enter that. It was somewhat urgent. So yeah, we are here to talk about the upcoming transits, right? Tomorrow we have a full moon in Leo. Leo is one of my absolute favorite astrological signs. I love Leos. Love them, love them, love them down. I think fire signs in general get a horrible rap. I think they're deeply misunderstood, but of the fire signs, Leo is my favorite. And it's not just because my rising is in Leo. It's because I love the power and the confidence and the leadership and the deep sense of knowing of self that Leo represents, right? So we have the full moon in Leo tomorrow. And then in a few days, we have Venus in Pisces. Venus enters into Pisces literally 4 days before Valentine's Day. If that is not divine timing, I have no idea what is. And we're going to dip into what I mean when I say that in just a little bit. So hopefully, if you don't know the format, I'm going to go over it very, very quickly. But before I do that, I'm going to introduce myself because I forgot to do so. Hello, everyone. I am Mambo Soleil. I am the founder and facilitator of the Charm School Hoodoo Mentorship Program. I am Coven Mother of Vision of Dantor. I am your weekly reader and budding astrologer. And I am a dope bitch straight up out of Oakland. Hello, hello. Oh, you're picking up your little. Okay, Chantel, thank you so much for tuning in, especially since you're out and about. Hello, KFS. Again, as other people enter the room, Make sure that you introduce yourself. I love to talk to people as I'm doing this so that way it feels like a conversation and not just me running my mouth at a computer screen. Hey, Tori. I'm so glad to see you. Good to see everybody's here. All the usual people are here. That makes me happy. Um, so yeah, we are gonna talk about the full moon in Leo, and then we're also gonna come. I mean, not gonna come. We're gonna talk a little bit about Venus and Pisces, because I think that these are two very important placements for us to be mindful of, right? So let's start with the full moon. Because I don't want to say it's the most urgent because Venus and Pisces has its own sense of urgency, but let's start with the full moon in Leo because it's tomorrow. It's literally tomorrow. The moon goes into Leo and is at a full moon tomorrow. So let's talk about that, okay? So who all here has seen either Wicked or The Wiz or Wizard of Oz, right? Of course, I start with The Wiz. Who all has seen those, right? So you know what the lion is searching for they're searching for courage, right? So with Leo being represented by the lion in the zodiac, anytime that Leo is present in a transit, it is dealing with courage and matters of the heart, right? So those are two major themes that this full moon asks us to deal with. Leo is the heart, right? People, and this is why I love them. I love them down. They get a bad rap. People think that Leo is the ego, right? They think that it is pride. And if you don't have a heart, then you don't have those things. So that's an element to it. But at its core, Leo is the heart, right? So again, Leo is not the ego the way people misuse the word. It is the seat of courage, right? When we are dealing with Leonic energy, we are dealing with our relationship to courage, our relationship to self-worth, joy, creativity. How do we stand in our divine authority? Leo is leadership, right? So because full moons are there to help us release, to illuminate, to reveal what we need to release, this full moon is calling us to really reflect over the areas where we have dimmed our light. What are the ways that we have dimmed our light, that we have forced ourselves to shrink, that we have folded ourselves into small corners, all in the name of being tolerated, having a false sense of safety, or even worse, benefiting from fake love, okay? Those are all things that a full moon in Leo is calling us to grapple with so that we can release those habits, those patterns, those experiences, okay? So there are some core themes that we should be mindful of while this full moon is in Leo. One is about the reclamation of the rights to be seen, okay? So again, full moon is the sign of the actor. It's the theater, right? Most famous actors, if they don't have a lot of Virgo placements, right, that perfectionism, they have a lot of Leo placements, okay? So Leo really reminds us that visibility is not about vanity. It's about purpose. You cannot execute your purpose if people don't know you and what your purpose is. So when we think of Leo in that theatrical nature, rather than assuming that they're just vain people, selfish people, people who want to take up space, remembering that they're leaders at heart, they're courageous people at heart. And a huge part of the reason why they're so comfortable with being seen is because they know their purpose. This moon really asks us to think about the ways in which our fear of exposure, our fear of being seen, has shown up as a block to us being able to stand in and execute our purpose, okay? So we need to be thinking about, where have we been hiding our gifts? Some of you guys have talents that most of the people who know you know absolutely nothing about. I'll tell on myself, I'm a beautiful singer, but I rarely sing in front of other people, right? What is the talent? What is the gift? What is the skill that you have that you're afraid to share with the world? And what do you need to do to release that fear so that you can stop withholding your blessings? Okay. Another question: who taught you that taking up space was dangerous? If you are afraid to take up space, if you're afraid to be seen, there are very few people that feel that way because they just naturally do. Something happened that made you feel shame, that made you feel like you were going to suffer a consequence from being heard, from being seen. So who taught you that? What was the experience that made you believe that? I love this lip color, but it's very drying. Pat McGrath's lips can be, sorry. Okay, that's better. Much better. I don't feel like my lip is going to peel off now. Sorry about that. If it's sparkly, I apologize. No, I don't. Everybody needs a little sparkle. So yeah, what happened to you that made you believe that if you take up space, if you are seen, that you are putting yourself in danger, that you are breaking some sort of boundary, that you are a threat and you're going to suffer a consequence? That is something that needs to be released, right? Whatever that belief is, however it got instilled in you, that belief needs to be released through this full moon in Leo. Another thing, what part of you wants to be celebrated, right? There's a difference between thriving and surviving, a big, big difference. And I think that there are many of you all who really want to be celebrated. You want to be honored. You want to be acknowledged, not just tolerated. You don't want to just survive. You want to be in the energy of gratitude and gratefulness and joy, right? So what part of you needs that celebration, that acknowledgement, that recognition of how far you've come? And what can you do to nurture that part of yourself? Those are all things in terms of reclaiming the right to be seen that we should be asking ourselves and really reflecting over in light of this full moon in Leo, okay? This is an amazing time to heal wounds around recognition and validation. So if you are one of those people, like I mentioned, who had an experience or an elder or lived in an environment where you were made to feel selfish for wanting to be seen, right? This is a perfect time to really, really heal those wounds, okay? Leo rules praise, it rules affirmation and being mirrored back with love. And again, that's part of the reasons why I love Leos, right? One of my love languages is words of affirmation. And one of the things that's beautiful about Leos is that they praise very, very heavily. Now they expect that praise back, but one of the ways that they show love is through letting a person know how wonderful, how valued, how appreciated they are, right? So under this full moon, you may get some emotions that surface up or that come to the surface around you feeling overlooked, you feeling undervalued, you feeling like you weren't chosen, right? If you have any kind of emotions around being in environments where you have given more than you've received, all of that is going to come up around this Leo full moon. All of this is going to come to the surface, right? If you've been creating in silence while other people take credit for your hard work, those are going to be wounds that come to the surface, right? And here's the thing about full moons. Yes, they bring our wounds to the surface, but that's so that we can acknowledge them and release the pain around them. So if you feel yourself having these memories and these feelings coming back to the surface, don't judge yourself about it. Do the work of allowing this moon to help you release it, right? This moon is not here to shame you in any way. It's here to help you restore your sense of self-recognition, okay? You don't need permission to honor your own brilliance. You really, really don't. So what are the ways that you can celebrate you, even if you may not be in an environment where other people are celebrating you? That's something that we get to reflect over with the full moon in Leo. I have to reframe my mindset regarding Leo men. I was married to one that didn't go like that. Now, okay. So this is, I hate to go there. I hate to go into the natal chart conversation, but this is why knowing somebody's big three is really important, right? So yeah, he may have had a Leo sun, but what was his moon? What was his rising? What was his Mercury, right? Because if he wasn't expressive and didn't put a lot of praise on you, that could have also been related to his Mercury. What was his Venus? How does he express the love and affection? Is he even capable of expressing love and affection? Because depending on your Venus, you just may not be able to do it, right? But those are all things to consider. But yes, change your mindset around Leo men. Some of the men in my life that I respect the most deeply are Leo men. Best protectors on the planet, in my opinion. Something else that happens when the full moon is in Leo is that the truths of our heart really come to the surface, right? Again, Leo rules the heart. The lion was looking for courage, right? Leo rules the heart. So this is a lunation that really asks us to be emotionally honest. I had a forecast reading with someone earlier today, and this came up in a particular way in the reading. Spirit can't give you what you want and desire if you're not willing to be honest about it, right? And I go through this every week, not every week, but quite often in the weekly energy readings. When we get to the love section, there are a lot of people who truly, deeply long for and desire love, but you are too prideful or fearful to admit that you want that, right? So you got to get honest. You have to be emotionally honest in order to make sure that your emotions and your needs and desires are even being met, right? This is a time to really think about heart-centered decisions. Are you making decisions from your heart, or are you making decisions from a broken root chakra or from a place of insecurity, right? There are truths that you can no longer ignore because of how deeply they're ringing about within inside of you, how strongly your intuition is going off, right? And those are the truths that you really need to confront under this full moon. It may not feel good. It may not feel joyful, but that means you need to release it, right? Because Leo says if it doesn't feel good, if it doesn't make you prideful, if it doesn't make you joyful, if it's not aligned, why are you engaging with it? And that's an important question. Another thing that comes up with the Leo full moon, because we forget sometimes that Leo, especially when we look at, what's that called? The astrological wheel. Leo is ruled by the fifth house. And the fifth house is our creativity. It's our childlike self, right? And Leo, full moons in Leo really call us to think about creativity as a form of medicine in and of itself, right? So again, going back to Leo being the sign of theater and theatrics, think about being a child, and one of your favorite things to do was play pretend. We were all little actors at some point in our life, right? We all played make-believe. We all played house. We all did those things, right? So thinking about the creativity as a form of medicine, Leo is the artist. They are. They use their body for art, but they are the artists, right? They're the performer. They're the storyteller. They're also the lovers. So this is a really important time for you to allow yourself to create beautiful things without judgment. Paint for pleasure. Knit because it feels good, right? Sing because it brings you joy. If you have babies, if you're blessed enough to have small children in your life, play imagination and make believe with them, right? But this is a time to use creativity for medicine. Express without explaining. Don't feel like it has to make sense to other people. Get it out. Let your feelings out. Express what's true to you, okay? This is a time to focus on enjoyment without productivity or earning. Again, even though we don't have a lot of people tuned in tonight, I'm grateful that I did this on a Saturday because a lot of you guys are on your break from the work week. So you don't have to think about productivity. You don't have to think about capitalism. How are you going to use this time to create in a way that's going to bring you joy and pleasure? All of that's Leo. That's something we should be thinking about in terms of using joy as a spiritual technology, right? What do I mean by using joy as a spiritual technology? What do I always say about money? You guys know I'm a prosperity priestess. I'm always here talking about financial trauma recovery. All the good things that we tend to want in life, progress, success, money, love, they want to be in spaces where joy is, right? So when we use joy as a spiritual technology, we're using it as a modality to bring in something specific we want into our life, okay? So I think that those are all really important things for us to consider under this new moon. I think we should be thinking about the times or the places in our life where we confuse humility with self-erasure. I think we should think about the times where we are performing strength instead of actually embodying strength through authenticity. I think we need to think about who it is that benefits from us playing small because we don't benefit. And Leo, the full moon in Leo is here to reveal that to us. It's here to reveal that we don't win by shrinking ourselves. We don't win by denying ourselves pleasure through self-expression, right? So that is full moon in Leo. Those are all some things that I think are really important for us to focus on during this time, okay? Because this full moon in Leo isn't asking us to become someone new. It's asking us to remember who we are. And not just to remember who we are, but to remember that who we are is worth being honored and celebrated. That we are worth being on the stage. We're worth being on the spotlight. We're worthy of taking up space. Okay? So that is the new moon, not the new moon, the full moon in Leo that happens tomorrow, first day of February, February 1st. I think it's powerful that the full moon is happening on February 1st. So not only do we have the opportunity on the first of the month to do all of our little rituals around protection and prosperity, we have an opportunity to use that time to also release something that may be getting in the way of our abundance, right? Now, let's talk about Venus entering into Pisces. This happens February 10th. February 10th, Venus enters Pisces, and it's going to stay there until March 6th. Now, it's important to remember that Venus is the planet of love, luxury, and abundance. It's also the planet of value. Venus teaches you about how you value things and what you value. Pisces, ruled by Neptune, is mystery and illusion. It's a very dreamy energy, right? Venus likes to be in Pisces. It's exalted, right? And when something is exalted in a position, it means it wants to be there, it likes to be there. So her qualities of beauty, of value, of love, of harmony are going to be amplified while it's in Pisces. Because Pisces is tenderness. It's the mystical aspects of the poetic, the artistic, right? The dream world. So this is a time where love feels like it's less about logic and more about soul resonance. And I think this is important because we live in a day and age, in a climate where the hot girl culture, even though it's fun and it's funny, has made us feel like love needs to be a checklist of material things that we gain in exchange for affection. Right? So there's a logic and a masculinity that has been pushed into how we understand love in this particular climate. Okay? But Venus and Pisces with that double divine feminine energy is really asking us to think about, does love resonate at a soul level for us? How does it make us feel? Right? A love that feels like destiny, compassion, and connection is something that is much greater than any material resource that can be provided, okay? So that is something that's really important. Another thing about Venus and Pisces is that it's an energy that is very fluid, it's very intuitive, it's very imaginative, right? So even though this is about a week and a half after that full moon in Leo that Venus enters Pisces, we still have another opportunity to really engage with our artistic self, right? With Pisces being the ocean, an oceanic sign, the fish, right? It's very deep, it's very connected to the unseen. So, also another thing that happens is that issues around emotional sensitivity increase, right? And when I say emotional sensitivity, I don't mean you watch a commercial for a nonprofit and you fall into weeping, right? I'm not talking about that. I mean that it's easier for you to hold emotional space for yourself and other people. That's what I mean by emotional sensitivity. There's a creative inspiration that flows very, very freely through us and around us when Venus is in Pisces, okay? But again, also our spiritual or artistic expression feels very natural. It feels very powerful while Venus is in Pisces. So this is a time where we really have to trust our intuition, right? Trusting our intuition as a source that is guiding us, not a foggy sense of confusion, right? It's sacred information that's coming from our subconscious, not something to fear or to doubt or to second guess or to logic away. How many times have you had an intuitive feeling or hunch and you logicked it away? Did that ever work out for you? How many times has your initial impression of a person been, this motherfucker's mean, or they are greedy, or they're manipulative, or they're a scammer, and you ignore it, right? Because you're like, well, they're just and you make up a bunch of excuses through logic, and then that comes back to bite you in the ass. How many times has that happened to you in your lifetime, right? If you're honest with yourself, it's happened more often than than you're comfortable with. Trust your intuition under this influence. It's deeply important that you trust your intuition under this influence, okay? Venus and Pisces really asks us to embrace the freedom to love without boundaries, right? Now, here's the thing. Pisces is ruled by Neptune, so there is a lot of confusion there. So yes, love without boundaries, but also be careful about being over idealistic, about pedestalizing people, okay? Just be very, very careful. This is one of the most romantic transits of the year because it invites us to engage in love without judgment. It also is an energy that allows us to forgive, right? Forgive ex-lovers, forgive people from our family or anywhere in our life who may have hurt us, right? It's a time where you want to forgive. It's not even about whether or not the person deserves it. It's about you deserving it. You deserving to let go so that you can focus on the love that's in your life, right? It's also a time where it becomes really easy to see the divine and the God in other people. I think sometimes we can really, especially in this day and age, I'm not going to cry. In this day and age, we can treat other people really badly because we rely more on parasociality than we do engaging with people and as children of God. But when Venus is in Pisces, you see the divinity in other people. So it makes it easier for you to love people, even a stranger, right? This is a time where our hearts are just naturally and easily open for deeper connection. This is also a great time to nurture your creative and artistic investments. Pisces is another sign of the artist, right? It fuels imagination. So this is a great time to write poetry, create art, listen to music, dance, but really let yourself express yourself through the artistic, right? Allowing your dreams to really guide your purpose. If you don't already have a dream journal, get one ready, right? This is a time to really dream big and create boldly because you want to know what it's like to feel like someone who has vision under this influence, right? There are going to be some emotional waves. Again, Neptune brings confusion and Neptune rules Pisces, right? So Venus in Pisces favors feeling very, very deeply. So it can bring a little bit of blurred boundaries. It can bring a tendency to idealize other people. You can also feel overwhelmed by your emotions under this time, right? Um, so let yourself do what you need to do to stay grounded, right? Take a little bit of extra time to make sure that you're honoring the boundaries in your relationships so that you don't overextend yourself. That's something that's really important at this time, okay? But yeah, this is a beautiful transit. It opens us up to a lot of possibility. Absolutely. Venus in Pisces invites us to love with the heart of the ocean, very, very deeply, very compassionately, and in a way that's fearless, right? Waves are big and they can make a lot of big change. So if you allow yourself, this is a great time for breakthrough in terms of your relationship to love in all of its forms, not just romantic, right? So yeah, that is Venus in Pisces. I do have spreads, tarot spreads for both of these transits, but we don't have a lot of people here today, so I don't know if anyone's going to want a reading. I will take a moment to pause just to let you all know that the readings are available. If any of the 3 people that are on the live right now would like a full moon reading or a Venus and Pisces reading, I'm more than happy to do it for you. If not, we can just go ahead and wrap up too. It's up to you all. So while you're making your decision, I'm just going to tell you a little bit about things that are coming in the following weeks. We have the cord cutting ritual on February 15th. So if you would like to sign up for that, I strongly encourage you to do so. The link to do so is in the description to this live. The next round of Rich Spirit will be taking place February 16th through the 19th. That is my prosperity ritual, where we use the art and the gift, the spiritual technology of honey to really reveal our blockages, help us release them, and to call in and attract sweetness and abundance into our life. So if you would like to join the next round of Rich Spirit, the link to that information, that chat is also in the description. What else am I working on? There's only 1 week left to book your forecast readings. So if you have not already booked your forecast reading, go ahead and book that. There are 2 versions, full and mini. The full comes with a natal chart. So we just talked about natal charts earlier. If you've never had a natal chart reading, this is a great time to get one because it is severely discounted. You get a natal chart reading and breakdown. You get a forecast that looks at your transits for the year and gives you wisdom and advice based on your natal chart. And then you also get 4 tarot spreads that also forecast what you're going to be experiencing throughout 2026. If you don't want the natal chart, then you can get the mini reading, which just comes with the 4 tarot spreads and a 5th spread of your choosing, okay? There are some other things going on for the month of February, but those offerings don't start until February 1st anyway. So I will go over those tomorrow in the weekly energy reading, okay? Tori said that they would like a Venus and Pisces reading. Okay, Tori, go ahead and send your love offering, and then I'll do the Venus and Pisces reading for you. If there's anyone else that is here that would also like a Venus and Pisces reading or a full moon reading, go ahead and send your love offering, and then I will be more than happy to read for you. So again, with the theme of Venus in Pisces being about being able to love beyond illusion while being rooted in truth, we're going to look into what Venus is asking you to embrace spiritually under its transit in Pisces without abandoning yourself. That's what this particular reading does for us, okay? Ancestors, angels, ascended masters, spirits that walk with me. Elevated ancestors, what does the Venus in Pisces transit have in store for Tori? What will this transit reveal to her about her relationship to love, spirituality, and matters of the heart? Any wisdom shared is deeply appreciated. Thank you, Tori. I appreciate you tremendously. I got you. Again, if there's anyone else that would like either a full moon in Leo reading or a Venus in Pisces reading, go ahead and send your offering of 1111 to my Cash App or my PayPal, both of which are scrolling below. If you want to give more, you're more than welcome to. But the base level offering is $11.11. All right. So, in the position of what your heart is longing, which looks at what kind of love, connection, or value you are truly craving during this Venus in Pisces transit, I feel like once I explain this card, you're gonna already know because it makes sense. Knight of Cups. There are two things you're craving. You're craving a love in which you are truly seen, in which somebody is willing to be demonstrative, not just in their affection, but in their profession of love for you, right? Because that's the thing about Knight of Cups. They're going to make the grand gesture. They're not afraid to be demonstrative about what they're passionate about. But the Knight of Cups is also the card of the poet. So what you are craving, what your heart is longing for, Tori, is the ability to be brave and unafraid and low-key relentless in your identity as an artist. Somebody who can express freely with confidence and bravery, right? All the Knights tell us an area where we need to practice bravery. And the Knight of Cups being the Knight of love and expression, you really are longing to be able to be someone who can be an artist first and introduce themselves as a creative and as a highly expressive person, okay? Now, in the position of where you may be idealizing or overgiving, which talks about where you are romanticizing, rescuing, or loving without boundaries, we have the King of Cups. And I think this is a very, very interesting card to get in this position. The King of Cups is the card of the compassionate father or the compassionate leader, right? They are a person who, because of their own world experience, has a deep understanding for human failings. And that understanding for human failings gives them a level of compassion that makes them understanding of other people's faults. Now, that is a beautiful thing on the surface, and it sounds lovely. But in its debilitation, right, in its distortion, it can be somebody who makes a lot of excuses for other people, right? And it's a Libra kind of energy, right? That's the thing that Libras do. They are so good at being able to see all sides of a thing that they can give people way too many chances and make way too many excuses, right? And that is an area in which you may be idealizing or overgiving. You kind of give people too many chances in terms of either poor behavior or just negative patterns you really don't want to deal with because of your deep level of compassion. So this Venus in Pisces is really challenging you to think about what does it look like to be a compassionate person and a compassionate leader in your life without allowing people to play you or play in your face, right? Now, in the position of how to love with grace and self-respect, this is literally asking us to think about what does healthy, spiritually aligned love look like for now. And I love this because this is not a card that people typically think about in terms of love, but this is a real energy, 10 of Wands. If you keep holding on to the past, if you keep holding on to things that don't belong to you, taking blame for things that don't belong to you, holding old energy and carrying it into new chapters in your life, you're never going to have the space to be this creative person who is unashamed about their artistic endeavors, or to stand up in compassionate leadership without allowing people to run over you, right? 10 of Wands calls us to look at the baggage we carry and release it. So for you, the way that you learn to love with grace and self-respect, what is going to bring you a healthy, spiritually aligned love in your life, whether it's romantic, communal, or otherwise, is learning what belongs to you, what you should carry, and what you need to release. You hold on to a lot of things that don't belong to you. And that ends up being space that something else beautiful can occupy in your life. Okay. I hope that that resonated with you. I hope that that was able to give you a little bit of perspective. I don't see anyone else here that has a desire to get a reading. So, what I will do is if any of you guys watch this replay and you end up wanting a reading tomorrow when we do the weekly energy reading, I will offer these tomorrow. Or if you just, change your mind later, tomorrow there will be another opportunity to get these readings. And I think it'll be good because tomorrow is the actual full moon. So it may feel a little bit more urgent once the full moon is actually here. Okay. Thank you all again. I doubt that I will be doing another Saturday live stream. I'm just going to be honest. I know that maybe people forgot or just, don't typically expect me to be here on Saturdays, but I think that this is more suited for the Thursday energy. I think we get better turnout on Thursdays. But yeah, if anyone, make sure you're here tomorrow, 7:30. I will be back here tomorrow night, Sunday at 7:30. Love you all. Take care. Be gentle with yourselves. And until next time. All right. Bye.